Welcome to the call, Millionaires. We're going to go ahead and start this call. My name is Johnny Mind Sharon. It's always a pleasure to be hosting this call every Wednesday. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. But before we get started, I want to start off with the quote of the day. The quote of the day: be patient, be committed to the process. Embrace the process, ladies and gents. You learn through experience. Experience is the best teacher. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the meat and potatoes of this call today. And for those of you that just joining us on this call, if your first time, I want to let you guys know that every week these calls are full of stories, strategies, and secrets of the super wealthy. So I want to welcome you all to Obsessed with Success call. And I'm going to go ahead and move out of the way and introduce you guys to a master marketer, a phenomenal leader, a great coach, a mentor. This guy never worked a job in his life. He pulled himself out of poverty, mostly by using the systems he's learned from his mentors. So I'm going to go ahead and step out of the way of greatness and introduce you to Mr. Haziq Ali. Are you on the line, sir?
I'm here, Quest. I'm here. How you feeling, bro?
I'm awesome. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, man, and I really appreciate that, Mr. Sherrod. I want to welcome everybody to this call and acknowledge you for being one of the minorities. Like, it is a special thing that you're on a call like this because you could be doing anything with this time. You could be listening to Future the Rapper instead of studying Future the Noun, right? And so the whole thing is that since you're here, I'm going to do my best every single week to make it worth your while. I'm going to make sure that I pour into you everything that we're picking up as we go out here and we study the greatest to ever do it. So today is going to be a special call. If you're the only one on this call from your family, you're the only one on this call from your set of friends, if you're the only one on this call from your coworkers, your employees, your team, then now's the time to fix that. Make sure you text people and get them on. Today we're going to be talking about not only the 10 steps to utilizing the law of attraction. We've all heard about the law of attraction, but so many misnomers and myths are floating out here. Law of attraction is not the only thing that makes things manifest. It's just one more rule of the universe, and we're going to get into it in a minute. And then we're going to talk about the 7 books that changed my life personally. Now, maybe these 7 books are books that you've heard of. Maybe you haven't heard of but one of them. You know, we'll soon find out. But these are the 7 books that helped me climb out of like a really rough period in my life where I was homeless, all the way up to opening these different businesses, having these different revenue streams, and positioning myself so that I can serve the world and therefore help to change the world. Because as we all know, first you serve and then you rule, right? Okay, so my Instagram is Haziq Ali, Haziq. My last name is Ali. And then my Twitter is Haziq, Haziq. And my email address, if you don't have one of our sales kits or one of our network marketing kits, then you can just email me at Haziq Ali. You know, the network marketing kits are based around day 1 duplication. They're 10 tools. If you haven't heard about them already, then you haven't asked around hard enough. But in a nutshell, they seem to be changing people's prospects business-wise, and we have it no other way. So we're going to get right into this call. I hope you guys are ready with your pen and pad, because every single week, my goal is to make it so that you are full. You know, before you get to Fridays at Juma or Sundays at church or, you know, Saturday at the temple, I want to make sure that you're full throughout the week with tools and rules that they should have taught us in school. This is Obsessed with Success. Welcome to call number 39. We're about to get into it. Okay, so I figured that we would start off with some of my favorite books, because they always say if you want to learn something new, then you got to read something old. I hope it makes sense to some of you guys. I hope it kind of rings true in your life that there have been many, many times when you've read something and you were like, wow, it's almost like I'm remembering this. Huh? It's almost like I used to know this beforehand, and now it's like the way that this puts it, it reframes it in such a way that now I finally get it. As the winners, as the greatest to ever do it, we're all constantly on a hunt for those aha moments. And the best way to find that, the best way to find the secrets of the universe, the best way to quantum leap your learning curve is to pick up this information from somebody else that has already congealed it down to the basic compound and then laid it out for you to study it. You should not be only reading when you paid some college professor to make you. You should not only be reading when you're in, K through 12 and they're giving us these textbooks teaching us about what they want us to learn. At what point do you put your hands on the wheel and decide to take control of this journey you're on? This is your life. So that means you should be plotting your course. You should know what direction you're headed in. And we're going to get into that in a minute when we get the laws of attraction. But I just want you guys to understand that reading is a really simple key to change the rest of your life. I think it was Frederick Douglass who said, "A man with knowledge is unfit to be a slave." Well, slaves didn't work for free like everybody gets taught. Slaves worked for food, clothing, and shelter. It was just crappy versions of all three. Question: do you know any slaves? So number one that we're going to talk about is, of course, y'all knew this was coming. It's from a guy named Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill, if you don't know his story, he was given the opportunity by a guy named Andrew Carnegie, who moved here from Scotland back in the early 1900s, late 1800s. He was making about $40 a week when he said to himself, "I love my mom too much. I'm about to make a change." By the time this dude died, he was worth upwards of $700 million. This is in a time when it cost a nickel to get a gallon of milk delivered to your front door. And this dude was worth hundreds of millions. So what he did was, this guy named Napoleon Hill, who was a struggling writer and journalist, he brought him into his office one day when the guy, he'd already worked for free for president. He'd already done all of these other things. He tried to start a magazine, et cetera, so forth. He brings Napoleon Hill into his office, and he gives him, count him, 30 seconds to decide after he pitches this to him. He gives him 30 seconds to decide whether he wanted to take all of his Rolodex, all of his friends and family, study them, and then, with Mr. Carnegie's assistance, come up with the world's first philosophy on success. You guys always hear me say that science is being able to reproduce something that happened accidentally on purpose, time after time after time. But what Mr. Carnegie wanted to do, and so he got Napoleon Hill, he sort of commissioned Napoleon Hill to do it. I can't say really commissioned, because he refused. He said, "Man, I'm not going to pay you a dime. I'm not going to pay you one thin dime to do this, right? You're going to do this, then you're going to use the knowledge, get yourself rich, and then we're going to feed the world." Well, about 100 years later, people are still talking about this book. What he came up with from studying all of Mr. Carnegie's friends, a lot of us affectionately call the Illuminati now, because we have no idea what we're talking about, right? These were just people that decided to study how the mind works, as opposed to letting it all go by at random. So Mr. Carnegie opened up his Rolodex. He studied people like Mr. Goodyear. Have you ever heard that name before? He studied people like Mr. Firestone. Have you ever heard that name before? He studied the founder of NCR, the National Cash Register Company, a guy named John Patterson. The list goes on and on and on. All of these were masters of the universe. All of these were Mr. Andrew Carnegie's friends. Well, Napoleon Hill got concert with each of them due to Mr. Carnegie's connection, and it came up with these laws of success. The name of the book was called The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. Write that down. The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. Later on, because even back then nobody wanted to read, they congealed it down into a much shorter version with some other additions to it, and that book was called Think and Grow Rich. However, if you notice, I'm saying to read The Law of Success because success has a lot more to do with just riches. Success has to do with how much you're serving people, what an abundant way you see the world, because a lot of people that have these facets of their personality that don't necessarily jive with their friends and family and their surroundings, it just comes from fear. Let's think about it. selfishness or greed is just the fear that you can't get more or that the world doesn't have enough for you. One of my mentors is a guy named Buckminster Fuller. What his adage is, how he dealt with life. Now, this is one of the geniuses of our time. This dude wrote like 30 different books, all types of different subjects. The dude was incredible. One of my favorite quotes from this guy is that, hey, it's much easier to ride a horse in a direction it's already going. This is a guy who managed to shave minutes off his sleep every night until he was sleeping literally 2 hours a night and would be just as charged as if he had 8 hours. Well, his whole thing is that you've got to observe the laws of the universe and then apply those to your life. So with that said, everything happens in seasons. Everything happens with laws. You see the laws of nature all around you. Are you not a part of nature? Why would you be outside those laws? True or true? So then, the whole point about this Law of Success book is that you've got 16 laws that are just absolutely easy to follow. No, I should say simple to follow. Break them at your own peril. And whichever one of these you aren't doing is what's knocking you off your course. It's what's keeping you from your potential. So that's book number one, The Law of Success. The second one is, again, an older book. This one was written in like the 1960s, 1970s maybe. It's from a guy named Robert J. Ringer, like a telephone ring. The name of this book is Winning Through Intimidation. Since that title is kind of controversial, now when you get the new printings of it, it's called To Be or Not to Be Intimidated. Because Robert Ringer's whole philosophy, and there's a bunch of them in his book that will change your life, but one of his cornerstone philosophies has to do with the idea that everybody is out here trying to intimidate you into getting your what you rightfully do. It's all intimidation. He talks about the court holder, how you'll have the guy who just stands there in the middle of the party and tells everybody how simple it all is. And that'll throw you off. But his whole philosophy is based around the idea that that guy is full of crap. That guy doesn't know nearly as much as he's making it seem like he knows. And if you just stay the course, if you be the slow and steady tortoise, eventually you pass the hare every time. Does that make sense to everybody? One of his cornerstones in his book is the Law of Relativity. You'll have people talk to you about, and I'm not talking about the Einstein Law of Relativity. I'm talking about the Robert J. Ringer Law of Relativity, where he talks about how you'll hear all of this stuff about how this person is a negative person, or this person right here is bad, or this person is a swindler or a cheat. But you know what that person never says to you? It's never them. They're never the guy your mama warned you about, right? They know a bunch of liars. They know a bunch of thieves, but it's never them. That's the Law of Relativity. So that law is based around the fact that it does not matter what this person says. It does not matter what that person says about this person. All that matters is what's on a piece of paper between you and that person. And I mean, he's got many more. One of his other laws I'll just get into real quick so we can move on is he talks about how there are 3 types of people in the world, and all of them are trying to get your chips. One, the first type of person tells you flat out, I'm here to get your chips. I want all my money, and I want all your money too. That's person number one. And money could be time, energy, resources, or actual cold, hard cash. The second type of person says, no, I don't want your chips, and they're lying through their teeth. Look for them around you. No, I don't want your time, your resources, your energy, and they're lying through their teeth, and they're lying on purpose. And then you got the third kind of person. It says, no, I don't want your chips, and they mean it, but it's only because they're so incompetent, they don't know what the heck they're doing. Those are the 3 types of people. The only way you avoid that is when you remove yourself out of this whole dark side of competition, and instead you step into the light of collaboration. If me and you are not business partners, 50 Cent has said it, Jay-Z has said it, every rapper from the urban genre has always mentioned this rule as one of their cornerstones. But the whole thing is once we eat together, we partner. Until then, nothing you say matters. So that book, again, is called Winning Through Intimidation. If you find the original copy, if you find the reprint version, then it's going to be called To Be or Not to Be Intimidated. Amazing book. Amazing. The third book that we'll talk about is Cybernetics. Cybernetics is, again, an older book. It was written by a guy named Maxwell Maltz, who's one of America's first plastic surgeons ever. What blew Mr. Maltz's mind and what made him begin to study all of this, he was already a doctor, as I stated, he was already a surgeon, but what changed the world for Mr. Maltz was the idea that he would fix people's faces and then they wouldn't even be able to see the changes. He would fix their faces and then they would still see the scars in their face. And this taught him that, wow, you know what? This stuff is internal. These scars are not just on the outside of the person's body. These scars are mental. This had him start studying what he calls Cybernetics, which psycho has to do with the mind or the soul, the psyche, right? And then Cybernetics is a guidance system. The way Mr. Maltz interpreted the wisdom of the ages, because, again, you've heard wise men repeat these concepts over and over and over and over and over again ad infinitum, right? But the way he interpreted this is that the brain is basically a success attainment device. Your whole brain is built to get you towards your goals. That's why you guys always hear me say, it's not about becoming a success, it's about raising your sights, because you're already a success. You already achieved exactly what you wanted to achieve out of life. You just probably didn't aim as high as you could because of what? Because of fear. So Cybernetics is going to blow your mind, if only for the reason that you're about to pick up little things in a book that all of your favorite artists are already doing. I'll give you a quick example. Maybe, especially those of you that are here in Atlanta, Georgia with me, maybe you've heard of a guy whose name used to be Chris Lover. He went from being this radio DJ, he went from being a rapper to a radio DJ. Even as a rapper, he was selling just in the streets his CD. It was called Incognito, of all things. He's selling it barbershops, hair salons, parking lots. He goes on to get on the radio. They call him Chris Lover at that point. Today, the dude was nominated for, I think he even got nominated for an Oscar, but he's definitely won a few Grammys. You know him as Ludacris today. Well, a couple albums ago, he dropped an album that's a chapter straight out of Cybernetics. It's a technique straight from Maxwell Maltz. It's called Theater of the Mind. Ludacris didn't just come up with that album title, guys. Everybody you know that's great are using these techniques. Now, some are doing it accidentally, but most are doing it on purpose. Most have taken on mentors that have taught them these types of secrets, and this is how you quantum leap your life forward. Theater of the mind is a technique where you sit there, you imagine that you're in a movie theater, and you watch the exact scene from your perfect life. That's just one of the techniques. This is what the pro athletes use. I mean, the highest level of performances that you're seeing in the athletic arena, they're using these techniques. Another technique he has you do is just draw out the perfect scene from your life. Right now on my mirror is the absolute, that it's me in heaven. Right there on my mirror is me in my form of heaven, which is me talking to basically a soccer stadium full of people whose lives I'm helping to change. That's what I know I'm here for. Me and my partner have already decided we're going to win a Nobel Peace Prize. That's not got to be everybody's goal, but I want to implore you, I'm begging you, set your goals much higher. If it's a money goal, add a 0 or 2 to the end of it. Why not you? What makes you have to live the life you're living? What makes you think that's your lot in life? It's self-esteem. And this book right here is all about the science of self-esteem, to put it as simply as possible. It is absolutely incredible. The next book we'll talk about, book number 4, so far we've said The Law of Success by Winning Through Intimidation by Robert Ringer, Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, and now we're to the 4th book, which is Thinking for a Living. Some of you guys saw me post this on my Instagram, which, again, my Instagram is Haziq Ali, if you don't already have it, Haziqali. Well, Thinking for a Living is from an ideator by the name of Joey Ryman. He's actually based right here in Atlanta, Stone Mountain to be exact. The dude's book is insane. This is the first guy to start an ideation corporation. He started off as an advertising agency head and a very successful one. But he got really annoyed as time kept on going by, because what he found out is that he'd get a little paltry sum, I meant to relatively speaking of what the ideas were, and then it would have to be left up to the company to implement it or not. He was like, we get paid for, we come up with the ideas, but we only get paid for the ink. And so he decided to change the whole game. He came up with the world's first ideation corporation. Well, literally, if you don't pay him $1 million, he doesn't even get started. The $1 million gets you what? An idea. Use the idea, don't use the idea, but he got his $1 million. Is this a wonderful world or what? The book is going to blow your mind. It's called Thinking for a Living, and it's from a guy named Joey Reiman, Reiman. The fifth book I want to tell you about is called Platform. Platform is an amazing book from a guy named Michael Hyatt. He was a real big wig at the New York Times, the New Yorker, a bunch of these huge, massive audience type publications, right? And he wrote this book called Platform, How to Stand Out in a Noisy World. Because what he realized is that, as many of you realize, we're being assaulted. I mean, absolutely assaulted and battered by advertising messages these days. And not just advertising messages, data of all types. All manner of information is just flooding us now that you're stepping into 2015. Well, if you're a writer, if you're an artist, if you're an entrepreneur, how do you stand out in this world? How do you stand out in such a noisy world? Well, it's all about building platform. It's all about building platform. It is all about building platform, and that's what this book is about. So he's going to take you through different methods. He's going to take you through different techniques, different secrets that he's used to reach such a high apex in his particular genre and his niche or his niche. And his name is Michael Hyatt, Michael Hyatt. And the book is called Platform. Please let me know on Facebook, which you'll see me sitting on this elephant on my Facebook page and all of that. That's how you know it's the right page. Message me on Facebook and let me know what you think about certain of these books and whether I'm lying about them being life-changing. I need to know. Number 6 is one of my favorites. I read this book probably like 10 years ago, and it still has never left me. It's called The Celestine Prophecy. The Celestine Prophecy is like a fun book. It's like an adventure book and along the lines of maybe Indiana Jones or something like that, where it's just this adventurer. He's traveling through the mountains, some old Machu Picchu type, jungle, Amazonian type of landscape, because it's all written in metaphor and sort of disguised as an adventure story. It's all these incredible insights. He breaks down 9 different insights, but I'm going to give you guys just one of them. This book is insane. He starts talking about how the whole world, whether you're talking about war or love, it's all just the quest for more energy. He starts breaking down these 4 different personality types. You want to write these down. 1 is the intimidator. 1 is the inquisitor. 1 is the aloof personality, and 1 is the poor me. These are the 4 different control dramas that people use to get your energy from you. So at one part in the book, the guy adjusts his vision so that he can see people's energy auras. I don't know how much you guys know about, for instance, this guy, John of God, who cures people of cancer by staring at their photograph, having you drink the water, you lie down, you dress in all white, you send him the picture. Oprah's done specials on him. Wayne Dyer, that's the guy who cured Wayne Dyer of cancer. His name is John of God. Well, certain people have attuned their vision so that they can see the auras around other living things. Well, in this book, he picks up that skill set. Notice I said skill set, not talent, right? Because skill means all you have to do is give time and focus, and you can be the best in the world. And whatever the skill is, you just got to be willing to put in more time than the guy who's the best currently, right? You just got to be willing to focus on it a little bit harder than whoever's got that number one slot so far. That's why we call it a skill set, okay? So he switches up his vision to have the skill of being able to see people's auras. And here's what he saw. The boss is yelling at the employee, just sucking out his energy because the boss is an intimidator. So he can see the energy just flowing into the boss while the boss is screaming on the guy, right? So now the guy's energy is kind of dead. So then he comes to the house where his wife and kids are, and what does he do? He starts questioning his wife. Why isn't dinner done? Why is this house so messy? What's going on? Why is she so hyper and jumping around the house? What is wrong with you, woman? So now what happens? The woman's energy starts flowing into the employee. Now the man is getting powered back up, right? All of the energy is flowing out of her into him. So now what does she do? She goes to the daughter, and then she starts being like, oh, your mommy, I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know why I can't keep certain people happy. I'm always messing up. So now the daughter's rubbing the mommy's hair. Don't cry, mommy. Don't cry. And the energy is going from out the daughter into the mommy because the mommy's doing what? Poor me. So let's follow back. The boss was an intimidator. Then the husband became an inquisitor, all to get the energy that he lost to the boss who intimidated him. Now the mommy's being poor me, and now the daughter is like rubbing her head and trying to make the mommy feel better. And then what happens with the daughter? Now the daughter, when the father is trying to get attention from the daughter's aloof. So now the daddy, who's still an inquisitor, is like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she's playing aloof. And the more that he asks her what's wrong, the more she pretends like she doesn't care. His energy is just pouring into her, right? So now her control drama has kicked in, so she could up her energy level. Guys, the book is insanely good. It's called the Celestine Prophecy. It's going to blow your mind. And that brings us to book number 7. I promised you only 7. I promise, if I've got one book, I've got 1,000 of them in the house. And I'm just giving you 7 of them. So understand, this was a really hard choice to make. Maybe once a month we'll do this and run through the 7 books, for that month, something like that. It depends how much you guys like it. If you guys like it, then let me know on Facebook underneath the post and whatnot so that I understand that this is what you guys want, right? But the 7th book is called Tinker Toys. You've heard of Tinker Toys. Well, this book is called Thinker Toys. And Thinker Toys is written by a guy named Michael Machako. Michael Machako. Michalko. So the 7 books I've told you about is Law of Success from Napoleon Hill, Winning Through Intimidation from Rob Ringer, Cybernetics from Maxwell Maltz, Maltz, Thinking for a Living from Joe Ryman, Platform from Michael Hyatt, The Celestine Prophecy from James Redfield, and then Thinker Toys from Michael Machako. Thinker Toys is insane because all he's doing is help you turn creativity into a skill set. All he's doing the entire book is helping you to adjust your ways of thinking and approaching problems, because never forget, the size of your life is directly related to the size of the problems you're able to solve. They say cleanliness is next to godliness. Haziq be saying creativity is next to godliness, right? So this is one of those ways that you step up your creativity. All right, so here's one quick example. Let's just say you were trying to come up with a new kind of pencil. This one is called inventory. So you inventory the pencil. What makes a pencil a pencil? Write down all the attributes. Oh, it's hard. Oh, it's yellow. Oh, it has an eraser at the top, lead at the bottom. Oh, it has this silver little thing that separates the wooden body of it from the pink eraser, right? So then you go through all these different attributes. I just named about 5 or 6 in the interest of time, but you get my point. Oh, well, what if our pencil instead was soft? Remember rubber pencils? Oh, well, what if our pencil, instead of it having an eraser at the top, what if the whole body was the eraser and there was lead inside that? Maybe that's an invention, right? Okay, well, instead of it being lead that's black, maybe this lead is made of some kind of precious metal. Maybe it writes in gold dust or something. Who knows? But the whole point is that this is how you turn innovation into more of a skill set. And that's just one of hundreds of different exercises in the book. It's going to change your life. Well, my name isn't Haziq Ali. But let's go on. Since we're talking about changing our life, and I've just finished giving you 7 books to do that, let's get into something that, like, there have been many, many books, hundreds, thousands, maybe 1 million books to this point written on this subject, and that is the law of attraction. We've all heard about vision boards, right? Well, there's a funny story behind why I have an elephant as my picture on Facebook. It's sort of an icon for me because on my vision board, I had a picture of a man and a woman on an elephant. At the time, me and my lady were kicking it strong. You know, we thought that we would be together. Well, I thought that we would be together forever, et cetera, and so forth. Who knows what she thought, right? But the whole point is that this picture looked so romantic to me. This picture was amazing to me because they were clearly in a foreign land. You know, the guy was on his elephant and stuff. The woman was on hers. They're going through some real, exotic location is the way the picture spoke to me. And consider my surprise when I found myself in India with my lady at the time. But what's crazy is that we were going through such turmoil and chaos, and we'll get to that in a minute about how you really got to choose your friends carefully. But this picture became really poignant to me because when we found ourselves in India, we weren't on separate elephants because of the fact that that's all that was available. She just weirdly got on one elephant without me, and then we ended up recreating the scene that I'd been staring at about 18 months. So that picture is on my Facebook page to remind me you've got to be really careful with these laws of the universe because your brain, your mind can't tell the difference between what's good, quote unquote, and what's bad. Matter of fact, there is no good or bad. Things just are. And whatever you pour into your brain, it's got to come out. If you've ever rented a car and then all of a sudden seen that same car everywhere, it's because you made that car relevant to yourself. Your brain has no choice but to point it out to you when it appears, but that's not just for some car you rent. That's for everything in your life. We're all composites. We're all walking, talking, breathing assimilations of everything that we've drawn into ourselves, everything we've experienced, everything we've seen, heard, felt. So, what are the 10 keys to using the laws of attraction? What makes this law so powerful? We have no idea. It's God's grace and mercy. But I'll tell you one thing, it's real. And if you don't believe me, ask any of the great ones. Ask Babe Ruth when he was pointing to the stands exactly where he's about to knock that ball. Ask Muhammad Ali that would call the round he's about to knock somebody out in. Okay. So what are the steps to doing this? Number 1, decide what you want. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the 10 steps, and then I'm going to let you have a tip as in how to put this into effect right away. So number 1, decide what you want. Really simple. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that. What do you want? I think it was Mother Teresa who famously said when they asked her, why don't you ever come to anti-war rallies? She said, I don't believe in anti-war rallies, but if you tell me where there's a pro-peace rally, I'll be there every time. That's because this ain't about you focusing on what you don't want. Your brain would then have to give it to you to take it away. So you don't want to do that. That's the law of attraction.
You are a literal radio receiver / transmitter. You're the most powerful antenna on the planet. And it's all emanating from this supercomputer that's lodged inside your skull. But until you decide what you want, it's as if you have $1 million GPS system inside your Bugatti, but you don't know where you are or where you want to go. How good can the GPS system be if you won't even use it? And I'm sorry, how good can it work for you if you won't even put in the data that it requires? So first, you've got to decide what you want. Have a ball with this step. Think really big to the point you have no idea how you get there. Never forget, Peter walked on water too. It wasn't just the guy they called Jesus, right? And then once Peter started asking himself how, he almost killed himself. Never forget that. Step number 2, choose your thoughts. Okay, so for step number 1, quick tip for that is write down what you want. I suggest about 5 to 7 statements and put it on your mirror. The mirror is a special place in your house because you get to look directly into your own soul. You get to look right into your own eyes and stare yourself right into the soul. So you want to put in, ladies, you can write it on your mirror in lipstick. Fellas, you can draw. Hopefully y'all don't have, lipstick just laying around like that. So you can write it on a notepad and then put it up on your mirror. Put it in your car, over the odometer, one of those other gauges you barely look at. But look at this every day. That's how you decide what you want and make your brain know you're serious about this one, as opposed to them other 59,000 thoughts that just flow through your head and you forget it every time. So number 1, decide what you want. Number 2, choose your thoughts and your feelings. Guys, this thing goes beliefs, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. Every single time. Beliefs lead to thoughts, lead to feelings, lead to actions, lead to results. Every single time. That's why it's so important that we watch who gives us our beliefs and we make sure that they qualify to have that much power over our life. Your mama can't just be allowed to tell you money don't grow on trees now that you're a grown man or woman. If money don't grow on trees, where do it grow? If I can reach the orange and you can't, and I can find a way to pick it off and hand it to you, how is that not money growing on trees? How do I not deserve something for that? That is an insane statement, but these are the kind of beliefs you were given. So you want to choose those thoughts and feelings. If you want a quick step to helping yourself do that, crush your inner sucker. We all got one. We all got a real inner whiny, little baby, wimpy, negative-minded, scarcity-minded, just punk. Here's how you crush it out. Write out exactly what they say to you all the time. Start paying attention to your thoughts. Always remember, I think we talked about this last week, losers listen to themselves, winners talk to themselves. That happens everywhere. I'm talking about all over the planet. If you've ever watched a high jumper when he's running towards that thing, you'll see him mumbling to himself because it's all mental. So choose your thoughts and choose the feelings. Number 3, keep the end in mind. I know we talked about this last week with Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. A quick tip for that is tonight, write out your eulogy. Write out exactly what you want them to say at your funeral. Write out exactly how you want them to feel about you when you leave here, when you finally earned your place in heaven. Write it all out tonight. That way you're moving with the end in mind, and then every action you take will be based upon that goal. Quick thing, right? How many of you guys have ever balanced a broom in your hand when you was a little kid? You was cleaning up, your mama wasn't home, you dancing to your favorite song. If you ever did that experiment, or maybe it was a baseball bat for some of us, maybe it was a broom for some of us, if you ever watched how that happened, the only way you could keep that broom in the air is by staring at the top. The minute you started looking at your hand, which is allegedly how it's staying in the air, oh, that broom is crashing to the ground. That bat is crashing to the ground, right? That's life for you. If you just keep your eyes on the prize, your body's naturally going to do everything. Your mind is naturally going to do everything to make it happen. But you got to keep the end in mind. Keep the goal in front of you. That's number 3. Number 4 is choose the meaning that serves you. I got a homie from Ethiopia, like her name is Salam and stuff. And,
You know what I mean? She's just an incredible person, right? She talks all these, you know, she's bilingual, and then she's the type that, like, her whole family, like, just, but it's not just some easy to learn language that's really close to English, like Spanish or something like that. Amharic is one of the most difficult languages on the planet. But can you understand the difference that it makes in someone's mind if they decide that, oh, I don't like communicating because I'm not that good a speaker, versus English isn't even my first language. I'm doubling what most of the people around me are doing. So not only am I a good communicator, I'm a better communicator than y'all fools. That's what we mean by choosing the meaning that serves you. Number 5, let go. Whenever you're feeling yourself really anxious or upset, it ain't nothing but a signal from the universe that you're supposed to be changing, right? So what you might want to do as an exercise is ask yourself, what change am I resisting? What change am I trying not to implement that the universe is telling me I need to? Important question, y'all. Write that out and then see what you have to say to yourself about the matter. Because awareness is always the first step to change. Number 6, forgive. Now, there have been books and novels and encyclopedias written on the power of forgiveness. You've heard many people say that being bitter and resentful is like you swallowing poison waiting for the other person to die. Well, listen, one of the keys to success, why success ain't just rich, when you start hearing about these celebrities beating their wives or having horrible relationships with their children, listen, you got to forgive yourself. So a quick exercise for that is to write out an incident where someone really, really, really did you wrong as you see it. Write it out completely from your perspective. Oh, this person did this. Oh, this person did that. And then, there's the kicker, you write it from the other point of view. You write out that same incident, but you do it from their point of view. Man, I wish I had more time to go into this. There's a seminar called Millionaire Mind Intensive, taught by a guy named T. Harv Eker and some of the people that now run the company. And when I tell you that this exercise will have you draining your face of tears, if you do it correctly, I'm trying to tell you, gratitude is the key. The attitude of gratitude is what will change your life. Number 9, choose your friends. You guys know one of our mottos here at Millionaire Minded is change your friends or change your friends, right? Why? Because the culture, you're a direct reflection of the expectations of your peer group. It's all about the culture. We talked about that on many of the past calls, so I won't even talk about that right now, but it's an amazing concept. Number 10, connect your mind, your body, and your spirit. In simple terms, we call that congruency. Yoga helps with that. I'm not a big yoga guy, so, I can't practice something I don't preach. But what I am about is meditation. In Islam, they have you pray 5 times a day. In Christianity, you're supposed to sit there in silence and just let God's love wash over you. It's all saying the same thing. Whether you start talking about Buddhist beliefs or you start talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, every single religion that has managed to last hundreds and hundreds of years, they all have a portion of it set aside for you putting in silence and getting in touch with the oneness that's around you. Why should you be any different? And then number 11, quick bonus, is that you allow it to happen. Sometimes opportunities come and you'll try to talk yourself out of it with that old mindset you had. But never forget that if you've asked for this and it starts coming, that's your wishes coming true. So don't block it with the old ways of thinking. I tell my friends all the time, it's like, hey, all your beliefs, all your best ideas, I'm talking about your best ideas, are what have you exactly where you are right now.
So if we're going to jump out of that, we got to allow it to happen. If I have a certain friend in my life and he's in my life because I look at him as somebody I respect in a certain area, I look at him as somebody that has something I'm missing in a certain area, and then he gives me his opinion, I would be a fool not to listen. I've got to allow the magic to happen, especially since when I look at any scripture on the planet, God only changes people's lives through the books they read and the people they meet. So that's the end of this call right here. We kind of brushing up against our time frame. That's 45 minutes on the dot, baby. If anybody has any questions real quick, we'll take about 3. Any questions or comments, you can unmute yourself with *6 and then say your name, where you're from, and
hey, man.
how many people
Hey.
call. Yes, sir. Who's this?
Hey, I have a question.
Okay. What's your name and where are you from?
I'm Sonny. I'm from Tampa Bay, Florida.
Okay. What's your name?
Sonny.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Sonny. Okay. What was your question?
I wanted some people to repeat 7 through 8 action.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I said, can you repeat number 7 and 8 on the law?
Number 7 about how to use the law of attraction?
Yeah.
Oh, it's unleashing the past.
Okay. Unleashing
the past. How would life be different if you decided to reframe certain of these experiences you had? A perfect example of that is, I remember one time I was watching this special with T.D. Jakes and Oprah and whatnot. If you guys don't know, Oprah's our modern-day Carnegie. And thank you so much for this, Sonny, because I think I skipped this step. Hey, I'm only human. All right, but yeah, so number 7 is reframe the past. So this lady stands up and she's like, oh, well, I'm a widow. My man left me, such and such and such. I feel so horrible, la-da-da-da-da. And then T.D. Jakes, or maybe it was Oprah, said something to her. She's like, I'm sure that's true as well. But what else are you? You're a survivor. You're a winner. You're somebody who can now stand on their own 2 feet. When somebody abandons you, it's not because you're unworthy. It's because you're now being taught about strength. And you're going to need this strength for the journey ahead. But you see what a difference that is, reframing. Or when we're talking about somebody who thinks they're a bad communicator, when actually English is their 2nd or 3rd language. So you're a more awesome communicator than most of the planet, and definitely most of America. So that's what reframing the past is about. I hope that helps, Sonny. Does anybody else have anything? Put *6, say your name, where you're from, and then let us hear it.
Hey, Haziq.
Hi.
Yes.
It's Brittany. I'm from D.C. I got about 6, 7 people on the call that I know of.
Okay, that's what's up, Brittany. How you doing?
I'm good. I just had a question about last week's call and the help that you needed. Was there any update on that information?
Oh, yeah, we're going to have that by this weekend. We'll have everything going out. What she's referring to, everybody that's on the call, is that you're being dog selfish if you're not spreading these calls around and letting everybody.
Yeah.
We're here to serve. So you know for a fact that there are people in your life that need to hear these messages. So make sure they know about these calls on Wednesday. But we're about to create a special group, a special organization that will eventually become a nonprofit that's based around us disseminating this type of information. If you're interested in participating, please go to my Facebook page, and underneath the Obsessed with Success thing, I want you to hashtag Freedom Fighters. Hashtag Freedom Fighters underneath the Obsessed with Success picture on either my Instagram or on my Facebook page. And then from there, you're going to hear from me by this weekend. Thanks a lot, Brittany. All right, one more. Does anybody else? Okay.
Yeah,
Hi,
I got one. I'm from Maryland. Could you repeat number 8 for the utilizing the law of attraction?
Okay, number 8 was gratitude. So gratitude is all about the fact that sometimes we need to just close our eyes when we want to up our vibration and just picture all the stuff we're grateful for. Okay, you woke up without being in a casket, a hospital bed. I'm assuming most of you guys. You woke up, you had clothes to put on, you had food to eat. Before you get to walking outside and you have a car, before you get to being able to walk outside. So just write down everything that you feel gratitude for, every single thing you can think of within a 3-minute period, and then meditate on that at least once a week. and then maybe once every 5 days, and then once every 3 days, and then once a day. And you're going to find yourself in a whole different vibration. That's gratitude. Number 8 was gratitude. Okay, so does anybody else have anything?
It's me, Chris.
Okay, how you doing, Chris?
Hey,
Where are you from, Chris?
What's up, man? I just want to say, very inspirational, man.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Where are you from, man?
I'm originally from Orlando, but I just moved to Atlanta.
Okay, man. Well, welcome to the Obsessed with Success calls. And, next week, make sure you got all of your friends on the call as well. Like every week, they're just going to get better.
Okay.
I really appreciate everybody for being here. I don't want to take up too much time. Okay, what was that? What's your name and where you from?
Yeah, my name is King As. I called from D.C. I got about 3 people on the call.
Okay.
Anyway, you can go over number 5 and number 9 real quick before you go.
Number 5 and number 9 with the law of attraction?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so number 5 is like letting go. So a lot of times we try to attach meaning. Number 4 and number 5 kind of go together. I think you said number 5 and number 9, but number 4 and number 5 are real closely related because number 4 is about choosing a meaning that serves you, and then number 5 is about detaching from the results. Sometimes you'll do something, and you will have had a goal in mind, and then you're really attached to whether you scored the exact way you wanted to score. Well, what number 5 is about is letting go of all of that and realizing that if you didn't make that basket, it was to teach you something about your shot so you could win the game. So it's about us letting go of the results in the moment and realizing that we're in this for the long term. So that's number 5, letting go. Choosing a meaning that more deals with what serves you, not choosing meaning that someone else would give it or being worried about what other people think when this ain't their life. This is your life. Number 9 is one of my favorites in the whole thing, which is choosing your friends. So an activity to go with choosing your friends is think about who you would love to make friends with. Who in your life? Maybe it's your pastor. Maybe it's your imam. Maybe it's this dude who's just getting to the bread and you don't know him. Take the dude out to dinner. Take the dude out to lunch. It's going to be an amazing experience for you. And all you're doing is being a leader, a.k.a. taking the lead, a.k.a. doing it first, a.k.a. you need a friend, be a friend. But the whole thing is that if you deal with friends that are beneath you, you're going to slide down. And if you deal with friends that are above you, you're going to scoot up. It's just the magic of relationships.
Appreciate it, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you, brother. Hey, well, that's it for me. My name is Haziq Ali. This was our Obsessed with Success call number 39. I love you all. And remember, change your friends or change your friends. Peace, y'all.